Welcome back. We're going to change things up a little bit in how we do this week. Let us know in the comments if you prefer the format or if you prefer the old way. But we're just trying to make our videos better and better serve you guys. So if you like what you see, let us know. So this week we're talking about the Fountaine Pajot Astre 42. This was the second of the Fountaine Pajot boats that we walked through at the show. It has a lot in common with the Lucia 40, naturally from the same manufacturer. So let's jump right in.
Sure. So again, boarding where we were at the boat show, it was via gangplank. We will go right up front. Nice, good, solid stainless steel handholds. Even the 3.5-year-old that we had with us was able to actually reach those. So they do go from the back of the cockpit up to the front. Once you get up front, their trampolines on this particular version was shorter. Still plenty of trampoline area. This particular one had more of the net classic trampoline look to it. Large storage and locker space there. There was a little step down. Probably makes it easier if you're sitting up there, whether you're sunbathing or just relaxing while you're at anchor. Kind of, again, almost a seat location.
Yeah, I think it's an attempt at a footwell for sitting as a bench.
Yeah, I didn't see much for a drain, but it's not a huge bathtub type of an area. It's relatively small.
It's a couple inches deep.
A few inches deep, about maybe 12 inches wide. But it goes a decent length. Windlass in this was also hidden, but there's no self-tucking jib on this particular catamaran.
Nope. No, there's 2 compartments up front on this one, as opposed to the single on the Lucia 40. So there's one on the left that had the windlass on one side, and then a big open empty area for fenders, etc. And then the second compartment had the Onan generator in it, and still some room left over to put plenty of stuff, toys and sails and whatnot in front. I agree that the handrail was the 40 didn't even have a handrail on it.
No.
So the handrail was one of the best that we've seen so far. I think the Antares was the only other one that had a nice low handrail for kids to be able to grab onto, and it went clear from the back to the front.
And it's not even necessarily just kids, it's even shorter adults.
Sure.
We have friends and family that are 5 feet or under, so, it does help to have a lower handrail, so they're not reaching up above their shoulders.
Absolutely. It does lack a self-tacking jib, which is getting to be surprising these days. It did have nice flush hatches up and down, so the weather decks, side decks were trip-free, easy to navigate. The shrouds were well above shoulder level for me, and I'm just about 6 feet, so plenty of clearance under there walking. Walk around to the back on the starboard side. We come to the helm station. So the helm station is quite a bit bigger on this, but a totally different layout.
Right.
So the helm station is set up with a nice big double bench behind the wheel, and the throttle controls are there as well as the instrumentation. But unlike the Lucia 40, the sail handling is in front in the sort of a companionway, the crosswalk from the weather deck down to the cockpit. Right. And I actually think I like that better. Even though if you were sitting at the helm, you're not able to just reach up and trim a sail. You have to get up and walk around and go to the sail the line handling area. But that means that if you have 2 people, you each can be, one person can be steering, and the other person can be trimming the sails at the same time without being on top of each other. And
you are in front of whoever is at the nav station, though. So whoever is driving is going to be directly behind whoever's managing the lines up front.
True, but you can lean out and look because you probably will anyway.
Right.
But yeah, you may be looking over somebody, but still you can have 2 people. You're not physically in the same spot trying to trim sails or hoist something or whatever.
Yeah.
2 people can independently at the same time simultaneously function. So I think that's I actually think that's a better setup. It had the same or similar little step up to the coach roof.
Yep.
This one had nice pads on the coach roof for sun deck. They were contoured pads, etc. Kids climbed up right up there. I still have a concern about accessing that if you had the bimini enclosed. I'm not sure how,
Yeah, it looked like the zipper zipped all the way around, again, to keep the weather out. But accessing that top deck would be different and difficult, I think.
I don't know. Curious to see how it would play out in actual use, because there's a door, manhole kind of thing, but would you keep that closed all the time? Would you keep it open? I don't know. Maybe you would keep it open.
And there is no windscreen on that station either. So that helm station does not have a windscreen. So
it's an added option.
It's an added option probably, or it's part of that Dodger type of system.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the bimini itself is an option. Yeah. But it's not unfortunately, it's not a hard glass like we saw in the Antares and the Majestic. Those had a really nice permanent enclosure. But then again, it's not a permanent enclosure, so when the weather is nice and you get a good breeze and you want to enjoy the outdoors, it's a much more of a in the elements experience. So you have the choice, right?
Yep. I would say the only thing up at the helm station is there's not a lot for handhold. So as you're walking back aft from the foredeck, the handhold does stop a good 18 to 20 inches before you get into that companionway where all the lines and winches are, and there's no handhold in front of where the lines and winches are. So you're probably going to have to, if you need to hang on, you're probably going to be reaching for one of the winches. And same thing as if you're making your way around to the helm station, to the wheel. Again, there's no handhold on the top of that station there either. So again, probably not as big of an issue on a catamaran because it doesn't pitch the same way, but if you are in a storm or if it is rough seas or you're just bouncing around a lot, that might be a concern as you're moving around.
How did you feel about getting down into the cockpit from the helm station? On the 40, I felt like it was a bit of a open, not a lot of handhold. It seemed like the same. It seemed like the only thing to grab was the column.
Yeah, this was similar. I mean, it wasn't terrible. There was a handhold, but it wasn't large. So someone who's smaller, like say our kids were up there with us, it might be a bit of a challenge. But if you're adults, you can probably manage.
Right.
Yeah.
So down into the cockpit, largely they're almost the same. We'll get into it later when I show you the overlays of the 40 versus the 42. Size-wise, they're almost identical. But one big difference on this is that there is a molded-in seat next to the table in the aisle side.
Right.
So there's a permanent bench on both sides of the table, which gives you some storage. It's a nice storage locker.
And because it's fixed, you can make your way past even if there were people sitting there. So some of the other cats that we've reviewed and that we've looked at, they don't have that solid state bench there. Whether it's a removable or movable bench, or it's captain's chairs or things that you can, or folding chairs that you can put out there. This way it's set so you can always make sure that you can get through that area and into the salon or downstairs.
Yeah, the Lucia 40 had no fix, so there was a captain's chair. So if somebody scooches their chair out backwards, it's blocking. Now you're asking somebody to move.
Right.
But the other thing is underway. That's going to be a stable bench. It's not going to move. If you hit a big wave or something, it's not going to. It's a much more solid.
Yeah, and you don't have to store any. There's nothing to store. You don't have to store those chairs or that bench.
Maintain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Apart from that, the cockpit is very similar.
Yep.
The layout's the same bench in the back. Outdoor fridge underneath the step that goes up to the helm station.
Correct.
So inside from there,
into
the saloon, depending on which side of the pond you're from. What did you think?
So this one was different. So it did have a little bit of a U-shaped galley. Nice solid state countertops. Not much to keep the whatever you're working on that counter while you're underway. There was a small metal bar on the back side just before the companionway down.
Yeah, fiddle to protect the companionway, so your bowls didn't go sliding down someone's head as they're coming up the stairs.
But it was it didn't go the full length of that countertop, so...
No, it was just
where the companionway was. So you could still have something that slides off the backside of that counter. But again, it is slightly captured U-shaped galley.
Yeah.
3-burner stove in this model.
Same
Convection
stove,
oven, yep.
same cabinet as the 40.
Yep.
I think it was the same sink.
The double stainless steel sinks. Yep.
But it has the full U
correct
cabinetry, so there's more cabinetry.
Yep, there's more storage.
So that meant that so if you saw in the Lucia 40 video, you might have noticed that there was a microwave sitting on like the windowsill out in front. There was no place for it, but people need a microwave.
Right.
So in this one, it had the microwave built in to the starboard side as you enter the salon, just above the double drawer fridge freezer. So the Lucia 40 had the double drawer fridge freezer and another freezer fridge on top of that,
right.
Because there was nowhere else to put it, and that's why there was no spot for the microwave other than the windowsill. So the 42 has a significantly larger salon with the wraparound U, so that other fridge freezer ends up underneath the counter in the U, so you get a bit more storage space, a lot more countertop space, and of course the built-in microwave, which frees up your
counter
windowsill.
Yep.
The only downside, I really liked this salon. It was way better than it's amazing what 2 feet gets you. It's amazing what you get from going from, the 40s to a 45. I've said this before. 45 seems like the magic number where all the compromises start to go away. But just going from 40 to 42, this boat is 2 feet longer.
Yep.
It's about 7%, 8% longer. It's about 7 or 8% wider. But overall, it's about 30% larger a boat. And I think we're going to do another video talking just about that, and talking about how, going from a 30-foot boat to a 60-foot boat isn't just a doubling in size; it's like a quadrupling in size. So anyway, back to the point. Much better salon, but it still doesn't have a whole lot of storage.
No.
I was looking at that little corner cabinet, and there's a few plates and bowls in there.
Yep.
So but where do you put all your chips and your food and your junk and your booze? And so there are underfloor storage compartments. We didn't open them, so we didn't because there's too many people coming through.
Right.
So I don't know how deep they were and what kind of. I know a lot of people do put stuff like that under the floors.
And the question too, and again, because it was busy, we were at a boat show. There were a lot of people moving through this boat. But I don't know how easy it was to access those floor panels either. So a lot of the catamarans we've been on either have the traditional hole where you stick your finger in and lift up that board, or they have the metal hardware. This boat in particular did not. So it gave you a nice looking floor, very solid state floor. I'm just not sure how easy that access is. If it's a push and it pops up,
so I actually found out how that works. So there's it comes with the boat. It's a little suction cup.
Okay.
And it's a ring, and it allows you to have a clean floor. So I actually hate the hole in the floor. I think that looks terrible. Yeah. I'd either rather have just like the fountain. I almost prefer the no fixture version with the Fontaine Pajot. And but that means you got to go find a suction cup if you want to open something
and not lose it.
So either do the full flush recessed metal hardware that you can flip up, or don't do anything. I hate the hole.
No, the hole should go away.
Yeah.
But I mean, the storage in the salon area inside seemed like it was lacking in the general space. And again, maybe we just missed something. So if we did, please let us know in the comments. But you want to go down to the starboard hull?
Yeah. So unfortunately, the boat that they had at the show, or fortunately for some people, this particular model, unlike the Lucia 40 and all the other boats we've seen so far, this one was a 4-cabin sort of a charter setup, and they were demonstrating 2 different bathroom layouts. So if we go down to the starboard hull. That one, if I remember correctly, went in and it had the one wet bath and one Well, actually, it wasn't even a wet bath. I'm not sure it had a shower at all. I think it was just a head. And then the other head had a full shower that was separate.
Correct.
So you did have 2 toilets, but 1 shower, but you had to go all the way around to get to the shower. So the forward berth doesn't have its own showers, so to speak. Not ideal. The other side of this boat is better, but we'll get to that.
Right.
Forward berths on this, so much of the growth on this hull versus the 40 is actually in the front, from basically the forward part of the salon forward. It's much wider in there, so you get a partial walk around bed. In the 40, that bed was almost a single, really.
Yeah,
calling that a double's a stretch.
Yeah, they were pretty small.
I think that's smaller than the V berth in our O'Day. So, but yeah, in the 42, you get a proper half walk around on both sides, forward berth, and it was a pretty nice bedroom. I wouldn't even complain about that as being an owner's bed.
Yeah, and I mean there were two openings for breeze and air in that berth as well. So you had the upper flush deck mounted hatch as well as the side window. So decent amount of light. One thing because again we're at a boat show, they don't want you on the beds or climbing around. Because the forward berths weren't a full walk around, I wasn't able to get far enough up to see and really kind of poke and dig around to see if there were charging ports or things near the beds. I didn't see them. I went back through our videos as well. I did not see anything there. So again, in this day and age where we've all got our wireless devices, it would be nice to be able to plug it in right where you're
It's
sleeping.
almost always an option, which is kind of aggravating. Who doesn't have a cell phone that needs to be charged in this day and age? There's 12-volt outlets should not be an option on a boat in 2019, 2020. That's ridiculous. But it is almost, I think every boat we've looked at so far, it's been an option to put 12-volt outlets throughout the boat.
Yep.
I did like as well as in the 40, I did like the reading lights are on a flexible stock. Built in. Those are pretty cool. They look nice.
Yeah, and they were small, so they were unobtrusive.
Yeah, you could just push it out
of the way. You're not, trying to avoid it and hitting your head. And you're trying to get in and out of the bed. So no, all in all, pretty decent minimalist styling. Light colored wood throughout this boat as well. So again, I think that light color wood helps, especially when you're down below in the hulls, especially in the hallways, to keep it light, open, and airy.
Same styling as the 40 at the Naga hide trim here and there.
Correct.
And covering up some of the surfaces. Back to the aft cabin, the aft berth. Terrific. Big, nearly full walk around. Certainly far enough to be able to walk down, sit your butt, and then tip over backwards onto your pillow.
Yep.
I thought these were great.
Yeah.
Best in class so far.
Yeah.
That nice big window across the headboard in the back, which goes out onto the sugar scoop.
Yep.
Plenty of light.
Plenty of light. Plenty of, again, with the hatches, the opening hatches, the aft staterooms, I think had 3 opening hatches. So that rear one also opened behind your head. So lots of availability for breeze and air while you're at anchor.
Up over the other side.
Yep.
So climb back up and over to the other hull. So this would be where the other style of bathroom is demonstrated, which is far superior. So and I'll do a voiceover with the drawings from the brochures to show you I think there's 3 or 4 different selections you can choose if you're building this boat new. If you have the forecabin, you can choose both sides, how you want the bathrooms laid out. If you have the maestro or the master or owner's version, you only get to pick the guest side layout. So on this side, they have, it's still 2 doors, basically an ensuite for each of the berths. So each berth gets its own toilet, but they get a shared shower with a door.
In between,
You can walk clear through in the hallway, or you can walk clear through in the bathrooms if you open and close the doors in there. And I think that's a way better solution.
Better solution, yeah.
So you both get access to the showers. You might have to knock. So if you did have 2 couples, it's going to be, if you had 2 showers, it'd be twice as fast to shower. But space limited, it's nice to have it seems like a more elegant solution.
Yeah, and again, this is only a 42-foot boat, so again, this is one of
Still
those...
a smaller boat.
This is one of those things that you are making compromises in order to get more space.
Right.
Storage and other things in this hull.
Right. So the boat we saw, unfortunately, for us, because we would prefer the owner's version, I think, is that the beds are identical front and back to the guest side.
Yep.
Same forward berth, same aft berth. But I did go through with voiceover to look at what the owner's side looks like compared to the 40 and the big gains. So we'll talk about that in that section.
The Astre 42 is available in a variety of 3 and 4 berth options. The boat we toured at the show is described as a port side 3 and a starboard side 2 configuration. There are 3 different bathroom configurations, and depending on whether you have a maestro or a quator or a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom boat, determines whether you get to choose the layout for the left hull and or the right hull. The boat we toured had the superior port side 3 and the starboard side 2. I've set up some illustrations to demonstrate the size difference between the Lucia 40 and the Astre 42. Looking at the forward berth, if we move the overlay from one to the other, we can see that the Astre 42's forward berth is dramatically bigger. Looking at the heads, doing the same. Again, another big gain in space. And then surprisingly, when we look at the aft berth and put the overlays over each other, we see there really isn't a whole heck of a lot of space. It's just a little bit bigger in the forward part of that berth. Since we're more interested in the owner's version, I've done the same analysis with the Astre 42 versus the Lucia 40 in the Maestro. So we compare the two owners' suites. We can see that they're almost identical in size, very, very close. The head, or the actual toilet room, nearly identical. Again, the big change is in the forward area. Much like on the other side, we can see that the bathroom the washroom gets much, much bigger. So the rundown on the few specifications that they publish, we can see that the length overall and the beam overall change about 8%. Displacement, however, goes up a whopping 30%. Draft, a minimal 5% increase, but when we combine the length, width, and a little bit of depth, we see that we get a big increase in the volume. So freshwater tankage, we see a 32% increase in capacity, and fuel goes up a whopping 56%. So just to show this visually, I've laid out a few more diagrams. Here we have the Astre 42 with the Lucia 40 outline on top of it. We can see just how much bigger that boat is compared to the Lucia 40. Again, 38.4 feet on the Lucia 40 versus 41.25 or so on the Astre. Gives us about a 7.5% increase in the length of the boat overall. Looking at the beam, the 21.75 on the Lucia 40 and 23.62 feet on the Astre 42 works out to be about 8.6% wider. There's not much published on perpendicular to the waterline, so I've had to make some of these measurements by a ruler essentially scaled off the paper. But we see about a 53-foot air draft on the Lucia 40 and about a 62-foot air draft, or 17% taller on the Astre 42. I apologize for the quality of this image, but it's the best I could find, but I wanted to compare the helm station layout between the two boats. If we move that overlap, we can see there's a pretty big increase in the space in the Astre 42. Comparing the salons, and in particular the galley area, if we look at where the forward edge of the countertop is in the Astre 42 versus the Lucia 40, we can see we gain about maybe 1.5 feet. Then if we compare where the forward couch is, we can see it's moved a bit forward again on the Astre 42, a slightly larger saloon area overall. Then moving aft, we can see that there's not a whole lot of difference in the outdoor space between these two boats. You know, maybe a 3 to 6 inch difference in the length of the outdoor settee. And then finally, jumping back inside for just a moment again to show the overall size difference between the Lucia 40 and the Astre 42 in the salon. We can see that the salon is a bit wider in the 42, roughly the same front to back, forward to aft size, and if we can use this outline, we'll slide it over, and we can see that illustrated pretty clearly here. So a quick tour on pricing. I found a price list for the Fountaine Pajot Astre 42 and for the Lucia 40, and I did just a real quick comparison. So what I did was I compared the same options and choices between the two as best I could, assuming a Maestro version, and this is all in euros, but about 368,000 is the base price on the Astre 42 versus 277.5 on the Lucia 40. The rest of the options are surprisingly very close to each other, showing the comfort packages are within a few $1,000s of each other, or euros, sorry. The Garmin one pack is the same price. The cockpit fridge I added in, it's a little bit more on the Astre 42. Solar's a little bit more on the Astre 42, probably because they're both a little bit bigger. But the bottom line is that when we add all these things together and compare the two, the Lucia 40 comes in at about 336,000, and the Astre 42 comes in at 422,000. So almost $100,000 more for the Astre 42. That represents about a 25.8% increase in price. So assuming that you're getting about 30% more boat by displacement, we're only paying 25% more in euros or dollars to get that extra space.
Pluses and minuses for you?
So pluses, again, the solid state handholds to get up front. I do like having the bench seat by the helm as well. So again, whoever's sitting at the helm doesn't have to be sitting by themselves. So if it is just the two of us and I want to sit next to them, I have the option to do so, which is not always the case on some of these. But nice, large, comfortable helm station on this. The U-shaped galley, again, because you are going to, once in a while you are going to be out on a rough sea and you're going to be bouncing up and down. So it is nice to be able to have that captured galley. So I think those are some of the pluses for me. Minuses, again, the back bench seat. It's great to have that extra space and extra storage there, but again, if I'm on a long haul, I've got nowhere, let's say we catch a big fish, I've got nowhere to clean it outside. So some of the other have had, fish cleaning stations or things like that. On this, I'd be down on my knees on the sugar scoop or something trying to take care of things, so... but again, it has the pillows just like the 40 did as well. Those are secured to like a bar in the back. So yeah, they look nice. But I don't know over time if those are going to really hold up as well as some of those other more solid state seat benches in the back. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so for me, pluses, way more room in this boat than the 40. It makes the forward berths something that you're not ashamed to put somebody in as a guest. Feel comfortable putting a couple there and they'd be fine. The salon, way bigger. Kitchen is superior. Still lacking a little bit in storage space, but way more usable, and you've got a nice U-shaped galley to brace yourself for cooking. Outside, I liked that solid bench in the middle, more storage, more sturdy. I liked the separated helm station. Downsides, like you said, it's still short a little on storage. No provision for self-tacking jib yet.
Nope.
Yeah, that's probably the big ones for me. The same thing in the Lucia 40. The countertops and things inside tended to be square and sharp.
Yes.
The solid countertop was rounded, but the woodwork corners and the companionways and whatnot were sharp and pointed.
Yep.
In the 40, they actually had silicone pads put over them. So that's it. So that's our review for the 42. I liked it overall. I think this would be a great boat for a couple. You could make it work for cruising, I think.
And you get plenty of room for your guests that are going to come and hang out with you or come and visit for a short period of time.
Yep.
And then use that extra space or bedrooms for storage when you don't have guests.
Right.
So
if size and budget are an issue, this seems like a decent boat. I like the Fountaine Pajot styling, etc. Anyway, so it's good.
Good.
So next time we'll do the next boat in the lineup, and again the Fountaine Pajot, and we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.